you do? Won't you come in? I'm very happy to have you. This is a picture, a print, that was given to me by Lou Eckerd, who lives across the street from me. Lou came up from the South. She's very talented. She's won many awards. This is a painting done by my sister, Eunice McCluskey. Eunice was world famous. She exhibited abroad. That's all she did was paint. She loved art. She also created poetry, and she really was a poet laureate of Pennsylvania for some time. She won a prize in Pittsburgh, and before that time she had done black and white sketches, and then she painted a barn that won the first prize. Unfortunately, she sold it to someone for a nice amount of money. From that time on, her paintings became very vivid, and her autograph is very large. The little painting below, Eunice's large, vivid, colored one, is done by a niece, Judy McCartney. She sent it to me quite a few years ago, and I think it's excellent. It just goes with my furniture here. My home is 100 years old. When I bought it, it had been rented for 25 years, and then a nephew purchased it. His marriage went sour, so you know what that happened to the house. And I thought, oh, I could have this house fixed in 3 months. I'd never done anything like this. Of course, I had been offered a job with the state. I couldn't even take the job. One owner had had a dog that had scratched the door, and what could I do? I decided to etch, and I did etch myself saving the deer. The print at the top is done by an artist, Ben Segis, who gave it to me, and he has other prints very similar to that. He bought a church, and he's retained the stained glass windows. She painted the floors, and he has a lot of paintings throughout. Put a gallery in it, and it really is just the most charming place. The green painting was done by Eunice. I think it's next to the last painting she did before she died. I think it's quite amusing. Notice the difference in the size of the animals and the human. The mirror below the green painting by Eunice was done by myself. I decided I would etch in every room. And this is an etching of the strong women in my family. Usually when I etched anything big, I would take it out and somebody would go by and I'd ask them to help me. This time I had it outside, it started to rain, no one came, and I thought, well, I've been a nurse and I've lifted people and I even have lifted humans. I mean, I can certainly lift this. I did lift it, but I ruined my back, and I cried for 2 days. No one heard me, thank goodness, and then it started to get better. I took aspirin and heat. I found the lion in the Carolinas, and I was with another sister who had a van, and the only place we had was between the front seat where she sat and where I sat, and I held my arms around it the whole way up. But halfway to Ridgway, we got a room, and I covered it with a coat. When we got up in the morning, a man was waiting for us, and he looked at us very intently. I'm sure he thought we were terrible women. He said, "There's a sick man in that van." Oh, I said, "Just a moment, let me show you this sick man." So I uncovered him, and we all laughed. By the lion is a 50-year-old plant that belonged to my mother. The top painting was sent to me by Amy Montier, who is Eunice's granddaughter. When I received it, I walked back and forth. I was so delighted because I knew she had the gift, and she does. She has gone to college, and she has degrees in interior design and also in dress design. She now lives in New York City. The painting below is also done by Amy Montier. It's very vivid and very youthful looking. The rocker is an old rocker I found at an auction. I have a dread disease, this auctionitis, and I decided to design and embroidery the flower children, which I did. The most beautiful thing I ever saw in my life was a golden wheat in King Tut's tomb. It was on an exhibit. I never told anyone how I adored it. That winter, Stephen, my nephew, brought me his gift. He had etched the wheat. I love it. I did the cruel picture here. I call it "My Heart Pants for Thee" from the Bible. And Jean, my sister, came calling and said, "You made yourself look so old." And I said, "Well, I am getting up there, you know." And so I framed it after it was finished and put it upstairs. And when she saw it, she said, "Oh, I love it. Bring it down." And so I did. Ada Nielsen is a godchild and niece. She asked me to design myself, asked me what color I liked, and I said purple. And I was into the dragon era, so I sent her the design. And that birthday, she sent me this chair that she had made for me from my design. And I just think it's terrific. I love it. As a matter of fact, if I never get another gift from her, this is enough for my whole lifetime. This embroidery was to be the seat of the rocker. And when I went to have it put on the seat, the heads were too far apart. So I had to do another one, which I hated to do, and I framed that. During World War II, I was at home, and everyone was buying bonds, and so I embroidered "Buy bonds for the land of the free." And Ada framed it for me. She's very talented. She's like an artist in framing. I embroidered crewel embroidery, the Holy Birth. And I think this is one of my best efforts. You will see here, there's Christ and his parents and the wise men. One year, the nieces and nephews had "This is your life," about me. And they made up a song. The two girls taught the others how to sing "Marie, My Marie." And then afterwards they said, "Now embroider it." So I went, at that time I was living in Bucks County, I went to an auction, I found this love seat, and I embroidered it. You will notice the song that I embroidered, and that took me one day for each line, believe it or not. It took hours because it was so fine. And then I have at the seat, I have my mother and father, and I have a copy of their marriage certificate. And I was a Virgoan. I always had dogs, and my sisters and brothers and nieces and nephews, and I told them a story. We would have colored bicycles. Now I'm going to motorcycles. In the back, I have different episodes in my lifetime, and one was that I was getting company when I lived in Philadelphia, and I only had a two-bedroom apartment, and so I thought, well, I have to have another bed. I'll go down to the center of town, and I had to park the car about 2-3 blocks in the main part of the town. I went to the Army-Navy store, and they inflated one of these mattresses, and I had to carry it on my head in the center of Philadelphia to my car. The top picture is a collage done by Eunice, and she had such humor when she arranged her collages. It looks very easy, very simple to do. I've tried one, and it certainly didn't touch hers. Eunice came calling one day. She brought the willow painting with her. And she said, "Do you like this?" I said, "I love it. It's so serene. I just adore it." And she said, "Well, you could have it if you pay for the framing." I was very happy to do that. This is an original picture that I embroidered. I call it "Bird on the Hat." This is another painting done by Eunice. It's very colorful. My nephew, Stephen Carroll, likes to design and create, and he did design a Rollmaster. This is a picture of it. After my father died, my mother came to live with me, and after she died, in her Bible I found a prayer that she had created, and I've kept it. This is a saying that I found in her Bible, and many doctors have said to me, "Give me a copy of this writing, so many of my patients would benefit from it." Eunice was a poet laureate, and she published quite a few books of poetry. This is one of her poems that I think is excellent. Eunice made this collage. I said to her, "What is the meaning of this collage?" She said, "Whatever you think it is." I said, "It looks like a rooster, or it looks like an Indian." And she said, "Whatever." Above it is a cartoon that Sally, a sister, made for me. And it says, "So who is that woman doing a shimmy hip hop? Or is she twirling to rock or bebop? Why, it's Marie. After a glass of wine, just add music, she'll dance just fine. Another cartoon done by Sally, my sister. It says, Dr. Davis will see you now. Marie doesn't trust the AMA, nor its protagonists. She thinks she knows as much as they. Could she be an egotist? Although she is a registered nurse and will treat you with tender love and care. About doctor's care, she is perverse, acts as if she's got the medical degree. This is a chest that I found in the Carolinas. And to tell you how polluted our area is, I left the door open that summer and the top became eaten up. And so I had to paint the top, and I painted myself with dragons. Above it is a picture of Eunice when she was young, and a picture of Stevie when he was a baby. This is a piece of art I found in New Jersey. I call it the Eye. It's quite unusual. I found this painting on glass at a studio in Bucks County. This is a poster that was given to me by Sally. I have so much art, and I don't have enough room now to hang it all. And so now I'm putting it in the stairwells, in the cellar, and in the attic. This is a print that was sent to me for my birthday from a niece. This is another painting on glass that I found in Bucks County. Sally, a sister of mine, gave me these posters, and they should be preserved because if you don't frame them, they're going to be destroyed eventually. And so I had them framed. I was on my way to Maryland with my dog, and I turned the radio on and it said, women are meeting in Washington. National Organization for Women having a parade, and so I thought to myself, well, I've never done anything for my sex. I'll call them. I stopped the car and called them, and I said, where is it going to be? And they told me it was going to be in Washington. I said, how many are coming? They didn't know, and I thanked them. And then I called my nephew, who was living in Maryland. I said, can I leave my dog with you? I want to go to Washington to march for women's rights. And so he said yes. And I said, do you have a great big long stick and a red bandana? Yes. Let me borrow it. And I called a godchild and niece, and I said, I'm going to be marching in Washington. Do you want to meet me? Yes, she said. I'll take the train down. And I said, I have a great big stick, and I'll have a red bandana on it. You can find me then. She found me. There were close to 200,000 people there, and a man came up to me and said, I just got out of the hospital, but I love my grandchildren. I want them to have rights. I said, oh, go home. I said, this is too hard on you. I said, the fact that you want women to have rights, that's enough. And Carolyn found me, and she became the treasurer for Now in Philadelphia for quite a few years. Last night, I arranged birthday cards that I had received this year, and noticed that I have one from President Clinton. I brought these plants in from the outside. I have a gazebo in the back that I built, but I don't know whether they'll live. They hate to come in, you know, but I'll try. I'll try to save them. I was here one summer when I was a school nurse working in Bucks County. Eunice was a great salesperson. She was trying to sell this painting to a woman in the other room, and the woman said, "Who's the duty?" And she said, "Marie." Well, it wasn't, but I had to buy it to get it out of El County. And so I did. My brother was moving down in the area and came to live with me until he found his home. Linda at that time was about 10 and very precise. And so I covered her with the little paper dress, the nudie I'm talking about. And this is a painting done by Eunice. It's called Granddaughters and Grandmother's Mirror. After I had it, I heard from a person in charge of an enchanting little museum off Rittenhouse Square, and they said, "We heard you had this painting. Could we exhibit it?" I said yes, and I brought it to them, and it stopped traffic. And from that time on, I've undressed her, and I'm very happy I have it. I was in Argentina when the minister of the International Church, Buenos Aires, came calling. And he said, "What are you embroidering?" And I said, "The stars sang from the Bible. It's cruel work that I do, and it takes time." And about 2-3 weeks later, I went to that church, and in his sermon, without a change of pace, he said, "And the stars sang." So I knew it was for me, and I was very delighted. This is a seat that I decided to cover, and you will notice that I have killed a dragon. I have a niece, Lois Schumacher, who is very talented, and she made this wreath for me. Eunice was going to throw this painting away. I saved it. It looks like velvet to me. This is another painting that Eunice was going to throw away, and I saved it. I think it looks like a Flemish painting to me. I embroidered this chair, and it's a political chair. It's women marching for the rights. I made this after I had gone down the first time to Washington. And you will see I have young and old and black and white women asking for rights. This is another political chair. I was a Republican for, most of my life, until Ronald said, "I'm for the E and the R and not the A," and I knew he was not for women's rights, so I left the party and became a Democrat. One day, a young student from Doylestown High School called me and said, "Mrs. Davis, I know you like to go to auctions, and there's going to be an auction about a horse that I just love. Would you go with me?" And I said, "My dear, I'm not a horsewoman. First time I got on a horse, it ran away wanted to get back to the barn in Jamestown. And the second time was at Greenwood Lake, and they didn't tell me that the horse was a trick horse. It went up to the house every day for sugar and carrots. And Eunice was running up the steps crying and yelling, and I was trying to hold the horse back. But I did go with her. And I loved the horse, and it liked me too. And so we bought it. Then she said to me, "Get on the horse." And I had a big sombrero from my brother-in-law in Texas. I put that on, and guess what? The horse was a jumper. So the next day, after everyone had seen and laughed about my riding, the father came calling and said, "Did my daughter inveigle you to buy this horse?" And of course I wouldn't give her away. I said, "Oh no, I like the horse." He said, "Do you mind if I purchase your part of the horse?" So I only owned the horse for a day. This is a painting done by Eunice Loncoske. It's about a farm on Mount Morenci. This is a collage done by Eunice. It's quite delicate in feeling. This is an embroidered picture that I did of my mother. My mother liked forget-me-nots, and I have embroidered what she had written in her Bible and what the doctors wanted. That most of our unhappiness is caused by our own selves. I bought this painting from a dentist, and then Ada Nielsen, my godchild, framed it. It certainly sets it off beautifully. Eunice has started to paint this picture, and she had done the plant, and I loved it, and I bought it sight unseen before it was finished. This is a painting done by Judy McCartney, a niece. She was going to Teal for her BS, and I was going to Temple for my master's, and I said, "What's the meaning of this painting?" A and F. She said, "One of us will fail." And I said, "What? There's someone looking in the window." At that time, she was in Teal, and they were being harassed by a young man. Vivian, a sister who lives in New Jersey, had this painting. Oh, I loved it. And I said, "Oh, give me this painting for my collection." She said, "I'll will it to you." I said, "I can't wait that long." So last year, on my birthday, I happened to be there. She said, "Close your eyes." I did, and she gave me my painting. I was so excited that when I got back here, it was near midnight, I got a high step ladder, and I went to hang it, and the wire broke, and the painting fell face up, not breaking the glass on the floor. I fall from the top of the ladder, and I can get up too. And that's the history of that one. I happened to be at a local bank. They were redoing the bank, and I said, "You know, that painting and some of the other paintings you have here were done by Eunice. If you would consider selling them to me, I'd be very happy." And I was informed afterwards that I could have these paintings, there are two paintings that they gave me, with the understanding that I could not sell them. Eunice has a room in Teal and also one in the University of Pennsylvania in Indiana. And so these rooms have paintings and artifacts that belonged to her. I didn't have this painting more than 2 weeks. Someone came calling and said, I was born in this area. I think of this house. Would you sell it to me? I said, I'm sorry, I cannot. This is a sketch done by Jean when she was a teenager of my father. My father was very handsome. Even when he was 80, he was a handsome-looking person. Some of the old-timers at Elliott Company, when I worked there during the war years, told me he was the best-looking man in Elk County. I believe it. I found this, and Ada framed it as it. You notice, I love the way that she framed this old picture. And I had one of my mother, and my mother said to me, I look so tired in this, don't frame it, don't hang it. So I put it someplace. I wouldn't throw it away of my mother. No wonder she was tired. She had 7 children. She dressed us beautifully and fed us nicely. But I can't find it. I have myself. I have myself that Jeannie did when she was a teenager. I was 21 at the time, but my mother should be hanging there. And I have looked all over. I know I didn't throw it away. It's behind something in this old big house, but where? This is a male dragon. And this is the female dragon. And this is where I'm killing a dragon. In fact, I've killed a dragon. Ada, my niece, Ada Nielsen, who's also a godchild, said, design something for this chair. And so I did. And she did the needlepoint, all of this work. That took many, many hours. I am very thankful. There was a wealthy family in Ridgway, and the woman, the wife of the industrial manager and owner of this factory in Ridgway, was a collector. Now, she had all kinds of charge plates. But when her husband would go away out of town, she'd call me, and I'd buy anything from her because I knew it was good. She had a gold bedroom set. This love seat is a Huguenot piece. You know, the French came over to our country. And I happened to be a camp nurse for 2 summers at Winnipesaukee, and I lived in a little hut in the woods, and I didn't have a TV or anything like that, and so I embroidered it, and I call it Strawberries and Lilies. This is an end table that I painted, and you see I'm here with a dragon again. This is a pair of old lamps. Jean came with them to me one day, and someone in Emporium was going to throw them out. And she told this woman, oh, I know someone who will cherish those. And so she gave them to me. They were badly damaged. I repaired them. And then I went to Doylestown to find the shades. They wanted to buy them from me, but I wouldn't sell them. To the right, you'll find Indian plates and an Indian woman who's weaving. I'm into the Indians. During the war years, there was nothing to do, and I started to read about the plight of our Native Americans. This chair embroidery had been on a 3-panel screen. When my mother came to live with me, she could always see dust where I couldn't. And she said, I'm going to take this off the screen and wash it. Of course, it's shrunk. And so I put it on the chair. This is a chair that I bought from the collector, and I call it my monkey chair. I was having some work done at a printing shop. It was in charge of an artist, a young artist. And I looked at him and I said, what are you doing to yourself, a young man like you? You have circles right down to your molars. He said, I am an artist. I don't have time. I'm working here in the daytime, and at night I can't get to sleep because I'm creating. I said, you have to give one of them up. You've got to protect your health. Guess what? He gave up the job. And so I felt sort of responsible to a certain extent. And I bought some paintings from him, but I'm happy I did. This is one that he gave me. Below it, you will see I found the black light at a yard sale, and to the right is a plate. It's a cat plate. And my nieces in New Jersey said, you like to dance, and there's it's a play called The Cats, and we want you to come. I said, how much will it cost me? Well, my ticket would cost at least $50. Then to go there, and then they ate and everything, it would cost me hundreds of dollars. I said, I can't afford it. So that Christmas, they sent me this instead, which I'm happy I have. And then there is a box that I painted the president and the first lady on the top of it. And up a little bit is a stained glass light that Stevie made for me. I went to a barn in Dublin, Pennsylvania, and I saw this piece of statuary. I had a sister who lived down there, and the next weekend we both went up there to the barn. I said, whom does this look like? She said, well, it looks like Aunt Agnes. And so I bought it. It was in poor shape. And I had an artist paint it, but she had the colors too bright, too vivid, didn't look good. And so then I painted it. And it does look like my Aunt Agnes. Her son came calling one time before his death, and I said, whom does this look like? She said, why, it looks just like my mother. This is a camel piece of furniture that I saw in Maine, Center Lovell, this summer. And it's going to be my Christmas present this year from the Lowther family. I belonged to a young women's club during the war years, and then I worked and started the community nursing center, and that was a tough job. Well, when I was doing community nursing, I went and helped take care of Mrs. Cliff. Cliffy owned a store here, and he became a millionaire, really, and he also became a judge eventually. He met me one snowy night in front of the courthouse, and he said, "Marie, you know, my mother had 2 sofas very similar. Are you interested in it?" I said, "Sold." And so I have this piece of Ampere, it's bastard Ampere, and I wondered what to do with it. In Bucks County, I had clubs where I would take young men and women to medical places, hospitals and different organizations. And I decided I'll just take this with me and see what happens. It's cruel. And at the top you will see that Eve is minding her own business, sitting on like a giraffe, and Adam is playing with the monkeys. And everything's nice up there, but an angel's warning them. Everything naughty is down below. The dancing alligators, the snakes, the bats, the spiders. And in back, you can't see it, but in back I have a man and his wife, and they look like maybe my parents looked when they were young. And they had a passel of kids, and they believed in the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Instead, they got overpopulation and drug abuse and atomic warfare. But woman will be invisible. She'll start a new world. And that's all in the back. This is a painting done by Rick Boney. And I think it's very, very fine. Another painting done by Rick Boney. Roswitha Lieb, she's using her maiden name there, lives in St. Mary's. And her work has become so strong. She went to South America, fell in love with the people there, and this is one of her paintings that she did. I had a business. I made cartoons for first day issues as a stamp collector. And I did it for 2 years. I really didn't charge enough for all the hours I spent. And so I gave some to Ada Nielsen, my niece, and I thought she'd put them all together. You know, instead, she framed them like almost separately, but it does go with the sofa very nicely. One of my godchildren, Mimi, had 2 children and became pregnant immediately with the 3rd. Her husband was going to school and she was alone. During the summer, I went to visit her. And when I looked at her, I thought, she's not going to survive this pregnancy. So I moved in with her. And I became a little bored, and I started to do crewel work. And guess what? She blossomed so much, they had to induce labor. This is a collage done by Eunice. It's Queen Elizabeth. This is another collage done by Eunice, the black and white flowers. I went to Arlington to take care of a sister who was having an operation. And I walked into the room. I had done the crewel face. And I looked at her. She was a beautiful black girl. I said, "Well, I've just embroidered you." And so I embroidered Christ. I wanted him to smile. He wouldn't. And I have the male and the female hand. That's God. And I happened to be in a dental clinic at Georgetown University, and a woman was sitting near me, and I was embroidering, and she gave a scream. And I thought she was having a heart attack. And she said, "I'm a decorator. I've never seen anything like this." This took a lot of time. I found this one-arm chair, and I should have a bigger house. I should have 2 more rooms, one for Art Deco and one for circus artifacts. I made this. It's my circus chair. This is a collage done by Eunice. It's called The Madonna of Elk County. I think it's very unusual. It had been purchased by another artist who needed money, and so I bought it from her, and I'm so happy I have it. This is the last painting that Eunice did before she died. It had not been taken care of well, but I did frame it, and I'm happy I have it. This is a collage done by Eunice. It's called Leo, the lion. It's very amusing. I was living in Philadelphia at that time. She came to visit me, and she painted the row houses across the way and gave me the painting. Sally gave me this poster, and I had it framed to preserve it. This is a creation done by Eunice. I use it always during 4th of July's. Another painting done by her, and a collage done by Eunice. This, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, this is a painting done by Eunice, and before this, she had done black and white sketches, and then she won the prize, and from that time on, she started to paint scenes. And fortunately, I have a copy of what she, well, the original, what she did when she was young as a teenager, and also this. This painting was sent to me from Lonnie Morelli, who lives in Pittsburgh. She is an artist, and unusual work is created by her. And the unusual, one odd thing is that I'll think about doing something, I'll go to visit her, and she's done it. We're on the same wavelength. It's a picture of Stevie and